Hello and greetings from my kitchen. I am actually just taking some time to prepare some tea for the day, and I thought it'd be a good opportunity to make a video tutorial of how I do that. Um, I know before my days of really getting into herbalism, my awareness with making tea was opening the cute little tea packet and putting the tea bag in the hot water and calling it good. And then I got introduced to working with herbs, harvesting them, and getting special formulas of herbs made. Very much like the Root Chakra tea formula that I have formulated and created that I'm sharing with all of you beautiful people as we journey through the chakras. This is a really great blend to support and balance elements connected to the root chakra. Rose hips, for example. I wanted to include them not only because they're red, but they are really good at strengthening arteries and connective tissue. The substance of the root chakra, the body elements that we talked about in week 1 in root chakra. Red clover is really great for building blood and nourishing the blood, which feeds all of our tissues. It's also a nice, gentle hormone balancer, regulator as well. We have some roots in here, which roots are really great and supportive energetically for the root chakra. Cinnamon bark isn't technically a root, but it's very much a hard, dense material of the tree. We also have roasted chicory root in here, as well as red root. And then there's a couple berries, again, very strengthening to the connective tissue, really supportive for supporting blood flow to the tissues. Elderberries, great for immune system support. And Schisandra berries. It's an amazing adaptogen, especially for women, and especially for the group of women who are perimenopausal into menopause. It can be quite uplifting and help kind of take the edge off that extreme shift in hormones that happens in the change. And just a reminder, so I source these from Living Earth Herbs in Bellingham, Washington. This is a 3-ounce bag, and they are offering this for our class, our community, our journey, at a very reasonable price. I ended up ordering the first 4 just to save on shipping. I also decided I really like having the flower essence support, and just being able to do a drop or 2 before I have to sit down and do something. It helps to ground me and helps me to focus. I actually have taken a couple drops, not dropperfuls, but drops, before I've taught this class, both the first week as well as this week, and find it very energetically supporting. And the one I have, I don't know if I mentioned it, but these flower essence blends, you can either choose from a brandy base or a shiso infused vinegar base. And I really like the vinegar one. The brandy's just a little intense. Something about the shiso, it's a sour, but in a very uplifting way. In traditional Chinese medicine, sour is a really good taste connected to the heart. So anywhere I can support my heart, I'll take it. Anyhow, so I have a couple methods here for how to prepare loose leaf herbal tea. The first is my handy dandy French press. And I've already put the herbs in there. And I put about, I would say 2 tablespoons worth of herbs, because the general template is 1 tablespoon of herb for 1 cup of tea. This is larger than a cup. It's probably more than 2 cups, but what I've been doing lately just to stay hydrated is I just make big batches of tea in the morning, even if they're slightly dilute, and have that be my water for the day. I'll fill my water bottles with it, and so I'm ready to go whatever I'm doing, whether I'm here at working, they're ready and prepared, or if I'm like today, I'm going to actually be meeting with my friend Arnold, and we're going to do some work of building some fences. So I definitely need my hydration and root chakra fortification. And I will say that this formula smells really good. I would say the cinnamon stands out quite a bit, but I'm definitely smelling like the fruitiness of the berries, the rose hips, elderberries, schisandra berries. So French press method, all you gotta do is get the water heated. Just use an electric tea kettle. So that's one way. And I'm just making sure it's like as hot as it can be before I add it to the French press. Just to optimize on that heat, extracting the medicinal constituents from the plants. Once I pour it in there, I'm going to just let it sit. I'm not going to push the plunger down until it's like has infused and I'm ready to pour and serve it. I like to let it sit for at least 15 minutes. So I'll do this while I'm getting ready to go. And I'll just know like, all right, I'm pouring my tea. The water is boiling. I'm not going to hold this and try to pour it in case there's a spill or anything. Don't need hot boiling water on my skin this morning. But here it is. There's the plunger. There it is. And then I put the plunger in right away and just push down like about an inch or so. Important to keep it covered because some of the medicine will leave in the steam, especially a lot of those like volatile oils or like essential oils in plants. Those like to fly away as they evaporate. So when we cover it, we keep that part of the medicine in the tea. A great way to see that it actually has happened isn't so much in this method, but in the next method I want to show you. So here we are, and that's just going to sit and hang out. I usually put it by the door with my water bottle next to it and just pour it in my cup right before I leave. And since I'm not leaving for like another 30 minutes, it has time to infuse. Okay, so the next method is on stovetop. So I have my pot here. And what I'm going to do, I think, just for the purpose of energy efficiency, I like to do at least a couple cups per pot of water or per setting. So as I go to the sink, roughly eyeball out 2 cups of water and then getting it heated up. And so you don't necessarily have to wait until it's a boil. If you want to add the herbs right away, you can. I just recommend then covering it. So with the root chakra tea, there are leaves in it. There's nettle leaf as well as red clover. But there's actually quite a few roots and berries and bark in here, so things that are a bit more dense. So when that's the case, I actually recommend doing a low boil decoction where you just let it kind of infuse in that low boil, let it decoct for 15 to 20 minutes and then turn the heat off. And when you're doing the decoction method, it's another great time. You don't necessarily have to sit at the stove and wait for it to boil. You can put it all in right away, cover it, and then either set a timer or, just keeping an eye on it, however works for you to manage time and keep track of it. So we have 1 tablespoon here. This isn't actually like an official tablespoon. I'll just use a large spoon, which is roughly about the same amount. We're not going for exact amounts. We're not baking like an angel food cake or cheesecake where you need to have the specifics. This is tea, folk method that I like to do and approach. So, you know, it's close enough to see what works for you. So here we go. Put in 2 tablespoons per roughly 2 cups of water. And I'm going to cover it and then lower this flame down. Because, again, I'm going to probably be here for another 30 minutes and just keeping an eye on it, keeping that lid covered until I've reached the time I want, 15 to 20 minutes. After that, one thing I've noticed is if you you shut the heat off and you just let it sit and cool in the pot, a lot of the herbs will sink. So when you do go to pour it into a cup or a mug or container, if you're making, multiple batch and like storing it in the refrigerator, it's a little bit easier to get out. Otherwise, just simply having a strainer like this, I'll transfer it just to a different pot and put the strainer on and pour it in there. And then easy enough, the herbs are in here. Sometimes I'll save the herbs and do like a double pour of them. That is just a personal preference. You don't necessarily need to do it. Most of the medicine does extract out the first time you do it. Like, for example, the storyline of this French press is usually I'll do one in the morning, and if I make tea at night, I won't empty it out. I'll just keep the herbs in there from the morning. If they've been sitting in there 3 days, I'm going to take them out because they're probably starting to ferment a bit. But otherwise, I'll just add the herbs I want for the evening on top of it and do a tea that way. Even if something's caffeinated, like if I had put green tea in here, the caffeine will come out with the first pour. It comes out really quickly. Like one of the first original decaffeination processes was actually just adding hot water for the first 30 seconds. The caffeine gets extracted out. So if you remove it in that 30 seconds, then do a second pour, you have your decaffeinated version, for example, of green tea or black tea. And I wanted to just show one other method. This was from a tea vessel that I had. The glass container broke, but I still have this part, which is super nifty. And you can open it up and stick the tea in there, and then you can twist it back on. So it's a strainer, which has this like cute little handle. And sometimes I will just put that right in a cup of hot water as well, depending on what my goal is and what the kind of tea I want to make, or what's available at the time. If all the pots are dirty, I might use this. So I hope that helps out, that you can become a little bit more confident in preparing tea and enjoy. I will talk to you all soon.